Welcome back, everybody, to the final day in our 12 days of Mortal Kombat Christmas. If you're watching this on the 25th when it's planned to launch, a very happy holidays to you. It's been a long road getting here, but hopefully it's been worth the journey for those of you who made the travel. We've gone up and down throughout this franchise, taking a look at some of the best and worst games this series has to offer. Today, we thankfully get to end on a positive note with what is currently the latest release in the series, Mortal Kombat X. Not only is it one of my all-time favorites, but it easily has helped my channel get to where it is today. And for that, I'm forever grateful for this beautiful gem. That said, let's dive into our final review for this year's Mortal Kombat Christmas. Mortal Kombat X was released on April 14th, 2015. It is considered the 10th game in the main series, as is reinforced by the Roman numeral X used in the very title. Developed again by NetherRealm Studios, this was the first Mortal Kombat game to debut on the 8th generation consoles. Our story begins 2 years after the events of Mortal Kombat 9. Johnny Cage, Sonya Blade, and Kenshi are all working together to protect the Jinsei Temple, the location that houses Earthrealm's life force. Upon arrival, they discover Shinnok inside. The fallen Elder God begins to dominate everyone in the chamber until Johnny manages to separate the evil deity from his amulet, while also discovering his ability to conjure a protective green aura. When Raiden calls out to Johnny regarding Shinnok's amulet, the film star kicks the powerful artifact over, giving the Thunder God an opportunity to capture and imprison Shinnok within his own means of power. From here, we cut to about 20 years later. Johnny is leading a special forces team alongside Sonya, and a variety of young and ambitious new combatants are among them. Some might call this the new generation of Mortal Kombat's roster, as not only are these playable characters, but most of them have blood relations to characters we have come to love in prior games. Cassie Cage, for instance, is the daughter of Johnny and Sonya. Jackie Briggs is the daughter of our Metal Arm Monolith, Jackson Briggs, and Kun Jin is the younger cousin of Kung Lao. Personally, this is an aspect about the story that I really enjoyed, getting to see a more physical passage of time. In general, the story mode in this game is extremely enjoyable, right on par with that of Mortal Kombat 9. Normally, this is the point where I would sum up the remainder of the story, but since X is still technically the latest release, I don't want to spoil too much for those still enjoying the experience. That said, with MK11 close by in April, this Mortal Kombat X review may be due for a reboot of its own. Till then, however, let's talk about what else this game has to offer outside of story mode. We'll start with the roster, and I don't just mean the characters, but the actual roster displaying them as well. It's extremely well done this time around. Choosing a character will actually display a 3D model of what you will look like, which is not only just a beautiful detail, but it actually lets you see the physical difference between costumes without having to fire up a match. Even more impressive, after 2 characters on the roster have been chosen, the warriors of choice will interact with one another in a quick fashion before the loading screen. There are even a few combinations of costume and character that will show off unique interactions between the two, such as Commando Johnny and Carl Weathers Jax, 2 DLC outfits related to Predator. Speaking of which, we have quite the character list this time around. I'll make note of it already, we have a total of 9 additional DLC characters on our roster. 5 of them are based on classic Mortal Kombat characters, and the other 4 are based on classic horror villains. To start off in regards to new characters in the base game, we have Takeda, Cassie Cage, Jackie Briggs, Kung Jin, Devora, Ferrator, Kotal Khan, and Aaron Black. DLC characters include Tanya, Bo Raicho, Goro, Tremor, Triborg, Alien, Jason Voorhees, Predator, and Leatherface. Quite a varied and interesting DLC roster, if I do say so myself. As mentioned, you can swap between different costumes for characters, and as someone with the Complete Edition, I can assure you that there is a solid variety of choices here. Some are throwbacks to classics, others are full-on fresh creations. The only ones lacking any variety, unfortunately, are the DLC characters. However, you can still change their appearance through a new concept for this game, variations. This new idea basically allowed you to choose from 3 fighting styles for each character before heading into battle. Depending on your choice, you could sometimes get a few unique moves, or other times you'll get an entirely different playstyle. I've heard mixed response to this feature because people don't like having to learn 3 playstyles to master a character, but personally I enjoyed the opportunity to choose a moveset and experiment with each variety to see which one worked best for me regarding each character. As I said, your variation often changes the general look of your fighter, and I give them a lot of credit for those little details. They could have just called them new variations and then thrown in some moves, but they went the full distance and let those variations display different attributes. A good example is that of Sub-Zero. Grandmaster variation will display his amulet on his chest, Cryomancer will display ice coursing through his arms, and Unbreakable gives him an icy armored mask. If you think just the cosmetic changes are cool, you'll likely have even more fun messing around with all of the varieties of playstyle. One of the coolest additions to this game is that of the character intros. Much like the selection screen interactions, depending on who you and your opponent are, will result in some interesting dialogue. Nearly everybody seems to have some sort of reaction to one another, and I applaud the effort that goes into fleshing that sort of concept out. It adds detail and personality to each character, and that is what makes this franchise so enjoyable, the unique roster.
Have a care, Outworlder. I'm an Earthrealmer, remember? Not in my eyes.
Combat in this game continues the 2D plane tradition, which I was perfectly okay with. I frankly enjoyed this style the most, and I find it's the perfect translation from the classic games into a modern experience. Fights still consist of much of what made Mortal Kombat 9 so great. Punch and kick based combos, sprinkled with special moves that of course adjust with your variation. Naturally, you can still block and throw, as well as make use of the special bar allowing you to enhance moves or perform X-rays. I'd say besides variations, the newest introduction to combat is that of the stamina meter. This is a small bar just under your health that allows you to do things such as dodge and run, and yes, running is back. Personally, I couldn't be happier. To some, yeah, it's just a small feature, but to me, it adds to the intensity and fun, fast-paced fighting that comes with Mortal Kombat. Stages are more fun than ever to fight on. Not only do they come with the return of stage fatalities, but new stage weapons as well. These can be used to take an often painful chunk of health out of your enemy. I enjoyed this inclusion as I feel it adds to the brutality of the game, and for me, that's what the experience is all about. Should you not like these interactions, however, they can be toggled off. Speaking of stage fatalities, as I said, they make a glorious return, and in the case of ones like that of the Cove, they easily make my skin crawl with thalassophobia. Naturally, with stage fatalities comes the classic variety of fatality as well. Each character has at least 2 base fatalities, and some characters have even acquired more over time, usually in reference to their classics such as Sonya's Kiss of Death. Brutalities also make a very welcome return, and usually number as high as 5 per character. The catch, however, is that some of them can only be performed in particular variations. They work different than varieties in the past. Instead of finishing your opponent with a crazy combination, you usually have to follow a list of prerequisites. I found that these can either be really cool, or just meh, depending on the one you use. Personally, my favorites are composed of the brutalities that engage the unique abilities of the character performing it. The last variety of finisher found in this game is that of a faction kill. Newly introduced to MKX was that of the Faction War, a mechanic that allowed you to choose a team and fight alongside players from around the globe for rewards and dominance. As you raise your rank with a particular faction, you will unlock fatalities relating to them that can be utilized by any character. Just know that while you can change factions, this will reset your reputation and cause you to lose your faction fatalities. Personally, I suggest choosing the one that has the fatalities you are most interested in and stick with it. Also, do note that your faction choice will change the background of the main menu and character selection screens, so if you want a particular aesthetic, you might want to look them up in advance. Online multiplayer makes a solid return, offering a variety of options to players such as rooms to hang out and meet up in, ranked and unranked versus battles, team battles, King of the Hill rounds, and tower battles, a new option that essentially lets you and another player fight to see who can get the best score in a particular arcade setup. This time around, you can also customize a player card if you'd like to better represent yourself online. These include a background, frame, and icon, all of which can be unlocked from a variety of tasks and even events over time. The arcade ladder, of course, makes a return this time around, though it's referred to as a tower now, and if you're looking for more than the classic experience, there are also Test Your Luck, Test Your Might, Endless, and Survivor variations as well, each offering a different experience. A new variety called Living Towers was also added in this time around, and these essentially offer you a unique challenge scenario that will either swap out hourly, daily, or weekly, depending on your choice. If you like a variety of experiences that are consistently changing, this is the place for you. Last, but certainly not least, is that of the Crypt. MKX returns with a massive zone full of collectibles. You'll be exploring in first person, and this can take you to a variety of places, from cemeteries to a section of the Netherrealm even. It's like a smaller exploration game in itself, because you'll be collecting items throughout the crypt that can be used to help you progress deeper, and thus accessing more treasures. There's even a shrine here where you can bet coins to win prizes. A warning, however, just as with Mortal Kombat 9, there are jump scares littered throughout the crypt, and this time in a wide variety that will often pertain to the location you are in. As a whole, that about sums up my experience with MKX. I really enjoyed this game. The roster was really well done, and being able to play different varieties of variation gave me so much replayability with each character. From my perspective, that was definitely the best way they could have reintroduced fighting styles from the 3D plane era. There's tons of cool costumes, beautifully animated X-rays, and fatalities that are easily worthy of the franchise. That being said, I give this game a 9 out of 10.
Get over here!
Outstanding.
Mortal Kombat X is easily in the top tier of best games in the series for me. It features some of the coolest crossover characters I've seen in a franchise, and with Mortal Kombat 11 just on the horizon, I'm really looking forward to seeing what we get to experience with future renditions. And thus ends our final review in the 12 days of Mortal Kombat Christmas. Thank you all so much for joining me this holiday. It's been a wonderful pleasure being able to put out content for you all. I've also really enjoyed hopping into the comments and being able to interact with those of you who've stopped in. Like I said, Mortal Kombat is a game that really helped my channel get to where it is today, and if you happen to be one of those old-time subscribers who's been around since the beginning of Combat Tips, then from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. Some of you may be wondering if there'll be a Mortal Kombat Christmas 2019. My answer is that it certainly has potential. We have reviewed most of the games in the series, but perhaps we can check out some of the spin-offs and ports that we have yet to take a look at. Additionally, Mortal Kombat is stretched as far as comic books and movies as well, so it's certainly possible that we could add those into the mix. But who's to say with an entire year away and a brand new game on the horizon? As per always, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you like what you saw here, feel free to reflect that down below in the form of a like or a comment. If you'd like to see more content like this in the future, feel free to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can find out exactly when more videos like this go live. For the last time this year and this holiday season, thank you very, very much for watching. And as always, you guys, remember, stay safe, stay happy.